youth.
So please welcome Mike Murphy to the show. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Oh, so great to be here. Okay. All the way from San Francisco. San Francisco?
I'm actually in Walnut Creek, which is
Oh,
in,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me give you a story. I know you just said I didn't want to spoil my my synchronicities or my things with you until we recorded and it was the authentic version.
Right.
So, I get books sent to me for this podcast and I have sometimes stacks but I really focus on the one that's coming. I don't want to go ahead of myself, right? Because I need to really focus on who I'm talking to that day or that next up.
Right.
So I had this creation frequency book sitting on my counter for the last 2 months, but I've been, kind of going down and getting ready for you. So a few days ago, I said, okay, it's Mike's turn. Okay, I get the book and I'm reading it and then I'm listening to some videos. And I said, I'm just going to do Audible and go on my walk this week. So I go to Audible. I had bought this book 4 years ago when it first came out. I didn't have to buy it. It was already in my library.
Perfect.
Isn't that amazing?
There you go. That happens to me a lot too. Synchronized.
Oh, I thought, oh my gosh, this man has been in my life for this long and now I get to meet him. And I had this, I always think, this podcast has been, a little over 3 years now. And the people that I've met and the growth that I've learned, and it's continual. It's so fun and it's my passion. And to look back, if I had to go back 5 years and say, or when I bought this book, in 4 years from now, I'm going to be interviewing him. I would never have believed me.
Isn't that something? It's funny how it
Yes.
works.
Oh, so amazing. Anyway, so now that I've read your book again and have realized why you're in my life right now, we have a lot more coincidences, a lot more parallel similarities in life that I get excited to share, because I feel like when people understand where you came from and your story, and I feel like that's important because you're not just coming to people and saying, this is what I believe, and I want to teach you this amazing way of me realizing how to manifest in my life. There has to be some, where we were down here and I really figured it out. And I did figure it out. Like I walked the walk and I did the whole thing. So when we start with your story, Mike, I would love to go back kind of explaining, you were in your childhood, your parents and how you lived, and then going into your first marriage and that whole thing. And you're when you were in 8th grade. So I have a 14-year-old and so when you were telling me the story, I'm like, gosh, that would have been Presley right now, leaving and dropping out of school and trying to figure out she could. I'm like, how did you do that? So let's just hear your background and then let's get into your magic and uncover your magic.
You bring up that story, and as a father of 4, I think about this a lot. My kids are all grown adult kids now, but now I have 7 grandkids. And so, and imagine your daughter not just going to school and not coming home.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did to my poor mother. Now, my father, doesn't bother me that much, although we've amended our ways. But I just can't imagine what I would do if my freshman in high school 14-year-old went off to school and didn't return. I don't know what I would do, but that's what I did. I mean, because I was living in such a toxic environment, but I couldn't describe it like that, because I was programmed to believe it was the perfect childhood and I should be on my knees giving thanks to God every day for this great, life, this great family we have, right? So I didn't know what was going on, not a clue. I just knew I had to get out of there for some reason, right?
Right.
And so there was a girl 100 miles south that I wanted to reacquaint myself with, right? So I just got on a bus in downtown Cincinnati and freshman year of school and got off 100 miles south in Lexington, Kentucky, and started hitchhiking. And by the grace of God, it ended up okay. But I did become a habitual runaway, doing it numerous times, habitual juvenile delinquent, probably arrested at least 6 to 8 times in those high school years. And drugs and alcohol, and it was a total mess. So, but but looking back on it now, I mean, I can kind of get it and figure it out. I'm very grateful that I was that rebellious, because I think it made me who I am today. I
Oh, for
almost
sure.
didn't make it out of that, right? I put myself in a lot of bad spots. So I do think I've been, blessed throughout my life to survive, but I'm grateful.
Yeah. Well, geez.
Sure.
So let's continue. We need to get a little bit more deeper into this story. So you meet your wife, you meet a woman,
Yeah.
you're young.
Actually, she was we went to high school together, but we
Okay.
just casually knew each other. We didn't date. We dated a month after we graduated from high school. And then, I mean, it was crazy. And she ended up moving to LA and then eventually New York. I was just a big partier. I ended up in New York. We both went out, we got drunk, asked her to marry me. She said yes. We got married right when we turned 21, which is
Okay.
ridiculous, right? And neither one of us knew who we were, what we wanted, just all that insanity. And then I started drinking heavily at age 14. So I didn't emotionally grow up until I quit drinking, really at 28. And so, that lasted for 2 years. And my 23rd birthday, my oldest daughter was born on my birthday.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and I'm living with my wife's parents. She's the oldest of six, her 5 younger siblings, her parents, and now this little baby. And I'll never forget this. The child was about 2 months old, and I go and I look in the mirror, and I don't have a job, I don't have any money, I don't have a place to live, I don't even have a car, and just a total loser. And I look in the mirror, I go, dude, you are a loser. But that didn't really bother me.
Right.
But what bothered me is that everybody in that house knew I was a loser.
Mm.
And that humiliation, that shame, I just had to leave. It was Sunday afternoon around 5 p.m. I grabbed my clothes in front of them and everybody and threw it in one of their old cars and took off and partied for a week. And then, like your typical runaway, so called her up and said, okay, I'm ready to come home now. And she said, no, I'll pass on that. And so I ended up literally that night, the alcohol wasn't working anymore. I didn't know where to go. I had no place to stay. I was totally lost. I actually went on the steps of the church where we'd gotten married 2 years prior. And I said, okay, God, I don't believe in you, but if you do exist, then surely with all this power, you can manifest into human form. You can come and sit on these steps of this church, because we're not inside because it's locked. And you can come down here and I can touch you. I can talk to you. I can see you. Then I can believe in you. And then I can change my life. But by the grace of God, the next day I ended up in a 12-step program, and I started to feel like there might be some hope for me. So,
Right. So you get a job at a
yeah.
restaurant.
I started waiting tables, get a job. I'm going in and out of AA. I'm heartbroken over. So now fast forward, we get divorced. Fast forward 2 years later, I can't stay off drugs. I can't stay sober. I'm instead of daily now, it's just binges, right? Because I had all this pain. I had abandoned my wife, I abandoned my daughter, and I couldn't get over that, right? I had a lot of regret, a lot of guilt, and a lot of loss, pain, grief. And so alcohol, drugs were my way to deal with that. But I did start working and got into, owning my own business and stuff like that through this manifest. Well, I was just waiting tables up to that point, meeting
Right.
the mystery man.
Don't get
And
ahead.
then,
Just we're
sorry
getting
about
to
that.
the magic.
So long story short, I'm sitting in a 12-step program one day, and a buddy says to me, hey man, I've never met a guy whose life is such a mess, whose thinking is so screwed up, but I might know somebody that can help you. And I want to introduce you to him. So he introduced me to a guy named Doug Fitzgerald, who I didn't know a clue about anything at the time. And he said to me, and in my book, I call him the mystery man, because when I wrote my first book, Love Unfiltered, I wanted to share the story. And I couldn't remember his name, so I called him the mystery man. When I wrote Creation Frequency, I said, now I need to know the man's name. So I hired a private investigator, found his son. He had passed away in 2011. And so I got to know him better, because I couldn't really remember all the details and all this, right? It was 30 years later, I'm writing this book. And
Huh.
he turns out he's a recovering alcoholic. He was estranged from his kids and family. And he started studying the Silva mind control, which is a big thing right now. The guy
Right.
at Mind Valley, that's what he teaches and all that. And so now I understand what he taught me, why it's so powerful and why it's so transformational and why it works so well, because there's so much science behind it. And now fast forward, this was 1982, folks. Now fast forward 40 years later, and I've studied all this stuff. And now there's people like Dr. Joe Dispenza out there in the world, really teaching what this man taught me in 1982. But now he's proving it with science and with real miracles happening in his advanced workshops and things. So, I mean, it's super, super powerful. Everybody uses it already. They're just not aware of it, as you know. And when we use it with intentionality, we create miracles in our life. And life is still going to be difficult, folks. And you still got to get off your couch and you got to go out and do something. You got to take action. But once you understand how the mind works, how the heart works, and how the field of infinite possibility works, and how this thing called the law of attraction works, trust me, your life will get 10 times better. It'll become easier, but you'll still have very difficult moments, because we live in duality. You can't have pain you can't have suffering without goodness. It's good and evil, black and white,
Right.
So that's the world we live in. So we're going to have to deal with that. But wouldn't you like to be able to deal with that with a smile on your face and realize that no matter how hard life knocks you down, you're going to be able to dust yourself up, jump up, and go back at it again. That's the way it works.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, we have similar stories, like I mentioned earlier, but I want to start to kind of interject while you explain, because I think you'll think this is really cool too, because 30 years ago, I realized the power in this creation and writing things down and intentions and the feelings and all the things this mystery man taught you those 7 days. But, so let's go into, so you go to his house, he has, you said you're committed to $50 a session. And he wants you to come 7 times. And the 7th day, he said he's going to give you this magical moment. Like you got to stick to this for 7 days. And in your mind, you're thinking 50 times 7 is not even the tips that I make at the restaurant.
Right. So what's interesting, he says to me, he says, Mike, you come here 1 hour a week for 7 weeks. I promise you'll get everything you want in your life. And I look at his house. His house isn't all that great. I look at his furniture, it's not all that great. He's not dressed all that great. But I am so desperate. I showed up in a $100 Ford Pinto that barely ran, and it'd been an accident, door was broken. I had to roll down the window, hold my hand outside the door to keep the door shut while I'm driving. And I'm in Northern California, it's rainy and cold. So, I mean, no matter what, he had something going on more than what I had going on, and I had no hope. And I felt a little bit of hope in the way this man said it, with his demeanor and what that, and I was desperate. And then he did add in the caveat, it's $50 an hour or $50 a week. I didn't have 50 cents. So I wrote him a bad check, and that's how we started our relationship.
Oh,
but here's what so he said, Mike, listen, you have to understand a couple things. One, to have a successful life, you have to create balance. You have areas in your life. You have your career, your job, you have your family, you have your finances, you have personal development, you have fun things, you have contribution, you need to give back in this world. So we need to create a balanced life. So we're going to break your life into 6 areas. And then each week we're going to write a powerful intention around each area. Then he said, number one, what do you want most in your life right now? And I've been divorced now 2 years. This woman hated my guts. I only saw my daughter 1 night a week, and it was driving me crazy. I said, I want my family back. He said, okay, there's no difference between imagination or reality. If you can see it in your mind's eye and you can feel it in your heart, you can probably bring it into your physical reality if you do this process. Now, what he says, Mike, there's no difference between imagination and reality. So we're going to write an intention as if that what you desire already exists. So I start writing. Lisa and I are so happily married in this relationship. Our daughter, Michelle, thrives in this relationship. Just 1 or 2 paragraphs. Now, while I'm writing, it feels weird at first. Then all of a sudden, well, wait a minute. Maybe there is a possibility here, right? So we write that intention. Next week, what do you want next, Mike? I want to own my own business. What do you want next? I want to make $10,000 a month. What do you want next? I want to own my own home. What do you want next? I want to run a marathon. What do you want next? He goes, the next has to be a contribution. I go, okay, my dad had a difficult childhood. I had a difficult childhood. I want to have a home for troubled youth. So now we have 6 intentions. See, week 7, this is where the magic is, ladies and gentlemen. This is where you have to take some action. Now I've already been taking an action, but what have I been doing? 1 hour writing a powerful intention for one area of my life. So far I've invested 6 hours, and now he goes, okay, week 7.
But
He
wait.
brings
Hold
up
on. Those 6 weeks, are you going home and reading it like he tells you to before
No,
bed? and
no,
all
I'm not doing anything until week 7. That's
that?
when it
Okay,
starts.
gotcha.
Okay.
Okay, got
So
it.
all I've invested is one. Now, of course, just the act of writing something down, a dream, if you will, and having done that process, it stays with you, right? So, I mean, so on some level, I'm sure it's in my body, my mind, my heart, my soul somewhere, right? But I haven't focused on it. I just did that 1 hour of work, and now it's week 7. So I show up with my 6 intentions, 1 or 2 paragraphs each, handwritten on a piece of paper. And he says, okay, now we're going to create the magic sauce. And he brings out a boom box. And for you guys, younger people out there, that's what us old people used to listen to music on. And he puts in a cassette tape. That's how we used to listen to music
Yep.
too. And it has theta brainwave music on it. Okay, just very mellow, nice, low frequency music to put me in a state where I'm receptive, right? And then he hands me a microphone attached to a tape recorder, and he puts in a blank cassette tape. He says, here's what I want you to do. I'm going to hand you this relaxation script. It's 2 pages. It's designed to put you into a self-hypnotic trance. So we're going to lower your brain waves down into theta by playing this music and putting your body into a relaxed state. Okay. We're going to be able to pierce the conscious mind into the subconscious mind. Now, back then, I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. Okay. I'm just doing what he tells me, but I can explain it in more detail now because I've been studying it for so long. So long story short, he says, read your relaxation script, read your intentions. I do it, boom, pops out the cassette tape. He hands it to me, he says, okay, now here's the most important thing. Every morning when you wake up, right when you're coming out of sleep, you're coming from delta into theta, I want you to listen to that, okay? That's when you're in the most receptive to be able to really put this into your subconscious mind. I'll explain that in a second. And then every night before you go to bed, right, you're coming from beta, which we're in right now, you go into alpha and then theta and delta before you fall asleep. I want you to listen again. So what's happening? So the subconscious mind, where we spend 95% of our time, it runs the show. It's our supercomputer. It's our superpower, but we're not aware of it because we're always in this conscious mind. The conscious mind that we're talking from right now is the creative mind. This is what we create with. The subconscious mind does whatever we tell it to do or what it thinks we want. And by the way, the subconscious mind, yours, mine, and all your listeners right now, is taking in over 1 million bits of information every second. Some people say 10 million bits of data every second. I don't know, but at least 1 million bits of data every second. My subconscious mind, which is running everything in my body, paying attention to everything in my environment, okay, is in charge of all that, okay? And then it chooses 40 bits of information to deliver to my conscious mind. Why? Because that's all my conscious mind can handle. I can't be doing this podcast and reading a book at the same time. Impossible. My subconscious can manage all that kind of stuff. This conscious mind can't. So what 40 bits of information does it want to deliver to me? It's here to serve me, right? It's taking care of my body, my heartbeat, my respiration, everything, right? So once it's here to help and serve. So it's looking for 40 bits of information of what data it thinks I want. So if I walk around all day and I go, man, my life sucks. Man, I never catch a break. Gosh, darn it. Nothing ever goes right for me. Man, why can't I make any money? Why can't I hang on? That supercomputer, the subconscious mind, is going to look for 40 bits of data every second to deliver to the conscious mind to reinforce what it thinks I want, because it doesn't judge. I don't think we should judge. I don't think God judges.
Right.
We got this critic in the egoic mind that drives us freaking crazy, that shames us, guilts us, makes us feel regret. That's the illusion, right? So basically what I was doing now, I'm telling this supercomputer, the subconscious mind, what I want. Okay. Literally 4 months after doing this and listening, and I wasn't religious with my listening, maybe 5 mornings and 5 nights a week. I mean, I did the best I could. Sometimes it was just too painful, frankly, and I couldn't do it, but I did the best I could. But 4 months after this, I got no credit but bad credit. I'm 40 grand in debt. I can't rub 2 nickels together. And I get a thought to open my own restaurant. And this thought appears, and I'm able to go and create this So in 4 months later, I own my own business. So now I realize, hey, maybe we're onto something here. So I got to start paying attention to this, start learning about this. 2 years after this, recording these 6 intentions, my ex-wife calls me up, asked me to escort her to a Christmas party on a date. We end up getting remarried, having 3 more beautiful children. So, this stuff works. Here's the bottom line. I challenge you, I challenge your listeners, everybody, I challenge you to find one thing in your physical existence right now that didn't start first with a thought and a desire linked to it. Everything in our physical reality, this is the power of the thoughts, but we don't guard our mind. We don't focus on this. Most of us, we live here. We live in this insane asylum of the egoic mind, of the false self, of the judgment, of the critic, of the committee of psychopaths. And I always tell people, listen, the most important journey you must take in your life at some point, and most people will take it in that last breath, is moving from here to here. This is who we are. This is our heart, our soul, our essence, our energy, the God, a part of God, I believe, is here. Source is here. Okay. So when I live from my heart and I create my intentions and my desires from this beautiful heart, now I can use this supercomputer. It doesn't control me any longer. I'm controlling it. So for example, if I'm not the thoughts, right? I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my body. That I'm the person in charge. So that's this thing here. It's not
Right.
Mike Murphy. Mike Murphy is just a story that was created and, whenever I started believing it. And I was born in 57, I started probably believing the story in 1960.
Right.
One day I looked in the mirror and said, oh, that's Mike. Oh, I get it. Okay. Now the story started. But
Right.
who was I before that? I'm eternal, timeless consciousness. I'm one with all. And so are you, and so is all of us. And we're connected to the creator of all this. And so when we go within and we realize and we find this superpower and we start living from here, and then using this beautiful supercomputer of a mind to create and to manifest, then life starts to work better.
Oh, so I get fired up like you too, because I'm just so passionate about it and I love it. But I just want to share, and it's not about me, it's about you, but it'll add to this magic and the
Please.
passion of why I feel so passionate about it. So I was married, divorced, needed to start my life over. I was like almost 30, went and found this job because I needed to start my life over, hated it. One day went to this seminar that was like, opened my eyes to kind of all this stuff. And I was always a seeker, Wayne Dyer and Abraham Hicks and, Tony Robbins and always that, like in my 20s, but, just not seeing the magic, not you doing it, just, probably just taking it in. So I get, one day have this aha moment. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to go home and write in my journal as if I created a business, as if I got a new car, as if I got a new house. I had no money, zero. I think they gave my last check and I'm like, okay, well, I had like 3 credit cards. So someone told me, one of my friends said one of my sister's ladies that does her facials is selling her spa. What you should go see. I'm like, perfect. Well, spas are kind of in right now. Let's go. So I go in, meet her. Sure enough, I'll buy it from you, get money on my credit card. How am I going to get a space to lease like you and your story was, I told the guy, like, this is her place flooded. He had to show me this bigger space. And I said, this is it. It was like the perfect spa. It was way more, it was like 3 times her size. And he said, oh, Ashley, this is way more than her rent. I said, no, this is it. And he's like, okay. And then I had to give him more down payment for him to trust me. My husband's in commercial real estate. He goes, there's no way he would have said, okay, from this one lady that thinks that she's going to start this business and has no experience. Right. But I just had that, like, I know it. There was no question. And he was like, okay. So long story short, I get the spa going, people start coming. I had written all these things out. When I start this business, I'm going to get massages every day. It's so amazing to feel this like feeling of independence and I'm free from this job. Like I did all this stuff and I didn't know what it was, but I didn't know it was going to be a spa, but I even wrote massages, but they were free because I had to interview people. So I do the spa. Then I had already created this. I want to buy a house. I didn't have money, but then it was, you could buy a house with no money down.
Right. There
So,
you go.
Mike, I went and saw this house and I told this realtor, I said, I said, I think I haven't even gone in, but can I see this house? He said, I'm so sorry. It's already, in escrow. And I said, oh, it was my house. And he looks at me like,
Yeah.
what? I go, that was my house. And he said, okay, I'll let you know if another one pops up in the neighborhood. So a couple days later, calls me, it fell out of escrow. Do you still want to look at it? Of course. Go look at it. The family that comes out knew me from the hair salon. They had grown up there. He comes back to me and says, there's two options, you or this guy, and he has all this money to put down. I was leasing an apartment or a house and I couldn't move in right away. He's like, so I have a feeling they're going to go take this other guy's option. Calls me that day and he's like, I told him it was my house. And he goes, Ashley, I don't think I've ever met anyone as like you, but they accepted your offer. So I didn't know if I was going to get a loan. I didn't know how to get a loan. I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to figure out how to do it. So I did it. Got that, had the spa going. The spa catches on fire. All the old equipment that lady gave me that I didn't like and was kind of mad at myself for giving her all this money for this old equipment. Well, now it's in flames, have insurance. I mean, so my point is, when I was listening to your book and I realized, like, when my magic moments happen are exactly what you say to do in this book. And it's that feeling, it's that intention. I look back at those notes and I realize it was like how I felt when I walked into that building and I was like, oh, and that's how I felt. And these people were coming to work for me. I don't even remember. I think we had Craigslist. There was no internet, but it was like, I don't remember how they were coming, but it was like this flow of these beautiful people just coming to work there, but it was just, yeah. So that was my little
I must ask you, what was the seminar? You mentioned
PSI.
Wayne Dyer, Tony Robbins. You went, what was it?
It was called PSI, like
PSI.
landmark, kind of like a
Oh, yeah,
landmark, but
yeah,
but it
yeah,
was
got
called PSI. I had my girls go to it. There was a kids version, but and then, so as we talk, and I'm going to stop talking after this, how you talk about service and how the purpose of our life here is to give and serve. I would give all these people that came into there, or the girls that worked for me, the money to go to the seminar to change their lives. And Mike, they came back and they opened up their own spas. So it backfired.
Well, yes and no, because I'm sure you still have a blessed life, right?
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so even when we give, you're going to get blessed. And so that's the attitude is, I'm going to give and you're going to get blessed. Of course, there's people in this world that haven't evolved, to this concept, right? So we have to be patient with them because, hey, listen, I mean, I came from a screwed up place. I was a screwed up person. I took advantage of people. That's why, see, when I live in my head, I can manipulate, I can lie, I can cheat, I can con, I can come up with all this bullshit. But when I live in my heart, see, my heart can't hurt you. My heart can't lie to you. My head, because my heart's conscious. My heart knows that who it is, what it's here for. So, but that's why we got to make this journey down to here and live from here, and then understand how this works, how this has been programmed. When we're born, that state that the mystery man put me in, that self-hypnotic trance, we're born in that trance, and we live in that trance till age 8. We live in a theta brainwave state. Why? Because that's how we learn. That's how we learn to become part of our tribe. That's how we learn to, we're learning from mom and dad, but we learn by seeing, hearing, feeling, touching. We're not doing a lot of thinking. We're doing a lot of absorbing. And that's how we learn. And so if we're not born to two mature, spiritually developed people, okay, most of us aren't. Okay, that's why there's so much dysfunction in the world. So it's kind of like, we have to unravel our childhood programming, and mine went way into adulthood actually, because I never woke up for a long time. And then we have to unravel the programming, and then install our new programming of what our soul wants, what our heart wants, not what mom and dad wanted, not what they programmed us to believe, not what TV programs us to believe, not what school or teachers program us to believe. What is it that I want? And that's why we mentioned there was something about me early on in life that question everything. That's why I was able to take off at age 14 and go,
Right.
I didn't have fear. I just knew everything was going to be okay here. That no matter what, take action and survive. And so because I had to get out of that situation. So I had to try to I didn't have parents. There was no education going on. And I really didn't trust the educators at school. And so I had to learn life on my own. And I learned it basically on the streets.
Right. Yeah. No, so what's come from me is I had to learn it on my own too. And when I didn't have my children until I was 36 and 37 and 40. And I knew that when I had them, they were going to learn these tools before they even were in my conceived. And now that they're 14 and 17, I see this fruit of my labor, Mike. And it is like, when you have an intent, when you live as a parent intentional from the beginning, and you understand that till they're 8, I'm just programming, Richard and I are programming them. And, whatever we do for them is just, inputting into that little brain. And when you're intentional and you realize that, and now you don't realize that it's really working until I'm experiencing that now. And like,
Getting the fruit right now.
I'm in the fruit of my labor right now, Mike.
It's gotta be
It's
unbelievable. But
amazing.
think about it. This is what I've heard so far, right? You're working on yourself. You're going to seminars like PSAI. You're reading Wayne Dyer. You're reading Tony Robbins. You're evolving. You're growing. You're spiritually growing and mentally growing. You're evolving. And so now you wait till you're 37. Now you're mature. Okay. Now you figured stuff out in your own heart and soul and mind, right? And
Right.
now you're going to take on this monumental task of raising these kids, right? Which that's why the world is so screwed up today. No one's raising these kids. No one.
No.
And that, so I'm always thinking we got to get back to community, families. We got to get the mom back in the house, or the dad, one of them. Someone's got to be raising these children. I Googled you before I got on the show today, and I see that you teach kids, and you teach young adults. And I'm thinking to myself, amen. Especially now that I've met you and I've seen how mature you are and what you're into, and what a blessing that you're doing for whoever you're teaching. If you're teaching in this process of manifestation, I mean, this is something that's big on my heart today. I got no parenting. I was an okay parent, but I look back, I thought I was a great parent, of course, when I was a parent, but I look back, I go, oh, why did I do that? Why didn't I do that? Why did, because you don't know until you know, but I do think we need programs for parents to learn how to be parents and teach these kids.
1,000,000%.
And since that's not happening in very large percentage of time, then we need programs go straight to the kids and say, hey, wait a minute, whatever insanity you're experiencing, don't worry, we got you over here. Okay. But we need to start teaching these kids this manifestation process when they're young and understand how the universe works, how the world works. We need to teach them about sex. Who teaches them about sex? And now sex is so out of control. I mean, my goodness, it breaks my heart. I got 7 grandkids, and the 4 youngest, are 4 girls, 7, 6, 4, and 3, right? And I go, oh my gosh, so it's like, man, what are we doing here, guys? So anyways, that's the scary news. The good news is I believe that we are in a huge transitional time, and we're going from a masculine energy, which is domination, penetration, control, force, to a matriarchal type of energy, which is nurturing, loving, kind, open. And so I think there is a big shift. The Bible calls it apocalypse, which simply means the lifting of the veil. I think people are waking up to what's really going on with all these systems. Look at all these systems. We're born into a family system, in a medical system, placed into a religious system, into a financial system, into an educational system, into a government system. And what do we want? Freedom. We want to be free, but we're programmed to believe stuff that's not true, that serves who? Not us, but them. Okay, the people in charge. They teach us to be little worker bees. That's why we go to work at 8. Our school, we go to school at 8 from kindergarten on. We take a break at 10. We have lunch. We take another break at 2. We go home at 4. They're training us from day one to be their little workers. But they don't teach us anything.
Right.
Memorize this. This is the truth. We're telling you the truth. So believe us because we're authority. Memorize it. Come back and regurgitate it. Get your grade and then forget about it. Okay.
Right.
It's programming. And I knew that in school too. And I said, I'm sitting there staring at the clock going, whoa, I don't need this. I just
No.
knew I didn't need this for my life. Right.
No.
So now that was interesting because I didn't go to school. I love learning now. Once I
Right.
woke up and the mystery man taught me all this, I mean, I've read thousands of books, all
Mhm.
the authors that you mentioned, I love. And and because that's real learning, that's
Right.
real information that serves me. That other stuff, first of all, I didn't even know if it was true. A lot of it
Right.
doesn't make any sense then. It doesn't make sense today. So,
No,
we
I
have to
just,
question it. That's what I love about the 4 agreements and the 5th agreement. And the 5th agreement basically says, be skeptical of everything, especially in today's world. Who do you trust? I tell people, I have a way that I can drive you crazy in 30 days. For 30 days, all I want you to do is when you come home from work, you watch an hour of Rachel Maddow and you watch an hour of Sean Hannity. Okay. And you will be crazy in 30 days because there's one storyline, 2 completely different narratives. All right. Who's telling you the truth? And the truth is neither one of them. So there you go.
right. So you've mentioned 4 agreements, and that's part of my class. I was
There you go.
reading 4 agreements to my girls when they were little. We would read in bed the 4 agreements because I read that. I think I was in my late 20s when it came out. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, when I have kids, this is going to be their first book. So now part of my class is 1 week. Like right now we're in that week. So they all have to read the 4 agreements. So I ship them all the book and they all are reading it this week. And so next week we have to talk about it. But, so my children right now, they just are in finals week, right? So when you're speaking of what the school system is like, and you talk about Tesla, Tesla and, if there was just one class on energy and, that
Frequency vibration, exactly.
That
She's
would
talking
be
about
amazing.
Nikola Tesla, by the way, not Tesla the car.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah. No.
you, for you
Yeah,
younger people,
exactly.
we're not talking about cars. We're talking about Nikola Tesla, the great inventor that actually invented electricity. Probably gave us this technology that we have cell phones today, and a million other things. So and he said, if you want to understand the universe, you have to understand energy, vibration, and frequency. And basically, that's all that's going on here. Everything else is an illusion.
Right. That's
You
what I
and
want
are
you to
made up
talk
of these-
about. Talk about that.
Okay, so this is super important. Okay, so, and this is science, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is real. It's spooky science, but it's science. We're made up of atoms. Okay, so when you break us down, you're looking at a human body right now. You got skin, and behind the skin, you have organs that are made of cells, and then cells are made of molecules, and molecules are made of atoms, and then atoms are made of particles. And when you break it down, when you really focus on the particle, all it is a wave of energy. Everything is energy. So we came from source energy. And that's all there was. In the beginning, whatever mode of thing you want to believe, that no matter what story you're told, it all started with energy. It all started with nothing, right? And then whether there was a big bang or there was a creator or whatever there was, it doesn't really matter. Because out of this singularity, out of this energy, what was created? Duality. So when you understand atoms are 99.9999% space. Okay. So I'm made of atoms. So in reality, I'm 99.999% space, but I appear solid. This table appears solid. This chair appears solid, right? But it's really not. So what's holding it together? That's the big question. What's holding these atoms together? I believe it's intention. Now, I can't prove that. Okay, that's just a theory that I have. I mean, we know we start as a sperm and we meet an egg and we grow into this thing, right? That's biology. But in the world of energy, in the unseen world, we're dealing in 2 worlds here. The seen world, like I can see you right now through this computer. I can see outside. I can see this house. But beyond that is all this space. I'm enveloped in all this space, right? And the space is where the energy is. The Bible called it ether. The Nikola Tesla called it plasma. The Chinese call it chi. The Indians call it prana. But it's energy vibrating at a certain frequency. And each of us have our own vibrational frequency. We all have our own IP address, right? We're all vibrating at a different frequency. And every cell in our body is vibrating at a different frequency. Every atom, there's an infinite number of frequencies, right? color, color blue is vibrating a certain frequency, yellow is vibrating a different frequency. One comes out blue, one comes out yellow. So the important thing of this is to realize that this is called the field of infinite possibilities. And then when we can quiet this mind and relax this body and get into a state of nothingness and throw these thoughts, these intentions that I teach, right? These powerful intentions that already exist. What's happening when I'm listening? One, I'm reprogramming my subconscious mind, telling the subconscious what I want, telling myself what I want. But more importantly, that sound energy, that which is energy vibrating a certain frequency, that's all thought is going into this field of infinite possibilities. And then the heart, they've measured this, the heart is a magnet. So we live in this electromagnetic universe, okay, where the thought is the electrical current going into the field. And then the heart, this is why the mystery man, you got to put a lot of emotion to these intentions. So what are the highest emotions? Love is the highest, gratitude, joy. So the more powerful emotion I can attach to this intention, I send it into the field and then I draw it back with my heart. And that's how I really believe that, you know, after hating me for 4 years and after 2 years of me listening to this, that my late ex-wife could call me up and ask me out on a date and say, hey,
Right.
Right. So, I mean, how did that happen? Not, I mean, this is how everything works. I'm sure everybody listening has had this situation where you think of somebody, you think of Joe, and 30 seconds later, Joe's calling you on the phone. Or you think of this, and an hour later, that shows up in your life because we're all connected. It's all energy. And the illusion is this physicality. And we're all timeless, eternal. You can't die, okay? You're going to leave this vessel someday, okay? And you're going to enter another vessel someday. And in between, you're going to be energy again. You're going to be consciousness. You're still here. Energy is never created, nor can it be destroyed. And so that's the beauty. It's gotten confusing because when it became duality, and then so basically energy, something happened, right? And nature was created. And out of nature, what happened? Life was created. And out of life, what was created? Consciousness. And that's what's happening right now. Consciousness is evolving. And that's why we're all waking up to these spiritual teachings that have been around forever, but most of us didn't get, right? All this stuff is, I mean, this was taught in the Bible and before the Bible. This is all just the way it's always worked. But somehow we've lost our way, and now we believe stuff that's crazy, right? So we just need to go back to the basics and get into our heart. And more importantly, and you talked about this, is we got to realize that we're all connected. If you're suffering, I'm suffering. You know, I might not link the two, but the truth is I have my own individual consciousness, as does everybody, but there's a collective consciousness here, and we're all connected to it. And this was demonstrated on 9/11, where they measure these things and they saw the emotional consciousness of the world just plummet after 9/11, right? So we know this is true. We know that we're all connected. And so I really believe that the only way that we're going to find our way, because if I look at the world, it's not the same as it was when I was growing up. Okay, humanity is going in the wrong direction in a lot of different ways, spiritually, morally, ethically, and a lot financially. We're headed in the wrong direction. Okay, somehow we've lost our, and I don't think it's the first time this has happened. So how do we solve it? We got to realize that we're all together. We're all linked together in this thing, and we got to get back to a spirit of love and not hate and divisiveness and separation. That we're connected, and when you're suffering, I'm suffering. And if we can do it, there's 7 billion people in the world today. If 3.5 billion of us would lift up someone less fortunate, whether it be a smile, a hand up, a $10 bill, whatever, that consciousness, that act, that consciousness, which would destroy whatever darkness is going on right now. And because the truth is, you know, whoever runs this thing, whatever this thing is called, this world, the matrix is they got all the money and all the power. The only way we're going to do it is you and me and others like us get together and say, hey, let's support one another. Let's love one another. Let's find a way to create, like you're doing with these children. I mean, that's what we all, if everybody was teaching kids the 4 agreements, the world is over. But the problem is, what's Everybody's a podcaster, a coach, an influencer, and nobody's like going out, you're a podcaster and an author and a coach, but you're out there teaching these kids this stuff. So you're giving back. So there's the blessing. But a lot of people are doing this for fame and money and stuff like that. You're doing it because you have a heart to serve, and you're doing it for the people that need it the most, the youth.
Right.
So I applaud you. Thank you.
I mean, but like the passion, right before you, I had a class with parents that I was running. And, when I hear what they're letting them do with technology and the length of time they let their kids on these things because it's a babysitter, they don't have, the kids know how to manipulate them. And I'm very direct when I say your child's manipulating, they're learning manipulation from their mother.
Yes.
So just think what they're going to learn how to manipulate for the rest of their life. And that's what you taught them. Because now they know how to figure out how to get more time on that iPad. And, it's just this lack of, and it's not their fault. They just don't know. They haven't been,
Well, no, but here's the problem. I was just talking to my daughter yesterday, and her youngest is 7. And she's telling me, Dad, the only way I got to change her behavior, and the only way is to take this stuff away. And then she'll be good. We'll take it away, and then she'll get it back. And right away, her behavior changes. She can't stay present. It's even me. Okay, I know you're a big reader. I used to be a big reader. Okay, now a couple of things are happening. One, I don't see as well, so now it's annoying to read, and I don't want to read on a tablet. But also, I can't stay focused. Okay, I mean, I'll be watching TV. I'm on my iPad. I mean, we're just, it's going way too fast. They got this thing sped up so fast. This is why meditation is so important right now. We got to spend time meditating, contemplating, praying, journaling. We got to get into nature. We got to get back to this thing. We're so sped up. And we're all even, I'm subjected just like everybody else. I know it. I'm suffering just like everybody else with this nonsense. I mean, I'm trying to put that phone away. I'm trying to put that iPad. I don't sleep with it anymore. I don't listen to this crap when I'm going to sleep. I'm meditating. I'm trying to focus on my breath, focus on my health, focus on my mental well-being, because it's difficult right now. Because listen, we got to pay attention to a certain degree, because it's our finances. If we don't pay attention, our finances are in jeopardy. Our kids are in jeopardy. We got to really pay attention. The world is a bit of a dangerous place right now. But it sucks you in. See, they suck you in. They get your attention, and then they suck the life out of you.
Right.
So that's why these electronic devices, we got to at least commit to spending some time in nature, spend some time with family with no electronics around, no TV, no iPads, no phone. And get back to being who we are, which is social.
Hallelujah. Amen. That's all.
By the way, I'm not pointing my finger because 3 are pointing back. I'm pointing at myself as well. Okay.
Right.
So
no,
I'm included in this conversation.
Right.
All right.
But when you hear I'm here, see it, right? I'm in it with my children, it's always been, we always have had like time limits. And you see the dopamine, like it's an addiction. And and it's like they're going to have, what's the next addiction? Like, okay, I know what's going to feed it. They're so used to this being fed.
So look how they sucked us in. Okay. Now I'm much older than you, but they sucked us in.
No, you're not.
With television.
You're only like 10 years older than me.
All right. Okay. I look a lot older than you. So, but they suck us in with television, right? I mean, I was there. It was black and white. It had these little things on the top. Okay.
Yeah.
It came on at 6 a.m. and it turned off at midnight. Okay. And there was only 3 channels, but it was Leave It to Beaver. It was Andy and Opie. Okay. And then it was the Partridge Family. And then it was the Monkees. And then it was medical. But then now what is it today? Holy moly. So it's like, how do you boil a frog? You just gently turn that temperature up in that boiling water until it boils to death, because it won't jump out because it's comfortable. So they keep us, they're brilliant at this. And now they have artificial intelligence to really hook us in. And now if they want to know what they're thinking, all they do is they plug our Facebook into their artificial intelligence. They know and so they know the next trick. So when you say something like that, what are they going to bring to us next? Believe me, it's on its way. Whatever it is, it's on its way. That's why we're at a crucial point, I believe, in humanity where it's always been a battle between good and evil, and it's always been in the unseen world, right? But it's now it's more visible, it's more real for some
Right.
reason. I mean, that's at least my sense, right? As I look at the world today.
Yeah.
And so my concern is as a father and a grandfather primarily, I try to live by 3 quotes that I found that I love. One is Martin Luther King. This is why I started my nonprofit foundation, which is injustice anywhere is an insult to justice everywhere. That's what Martin Luther King said. I found a great injustice in the medical system, and I'm doing my best to just help a little bit in a small way. The other one is evil exists because good men did nothing. Okay, so we got to at least speak up when we see evil. We got to at least try to stop. There's people trying to do that. There's whistleblowers, but it's not easy. It's not easy being a whistleblower. I applaud those people. I mean, I've spoken. Now, when you speak out today, they just slam you. So so we got to find a way to combat evil, but stay in the game. We can't get totally canceled and destroyed. We have to be there for that. And then the third one is from Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was a minister in World War II in Nazi Germany, who could have gotten out and stayed and was executed. But he said that a righteous man lives for the next generation. And that's really the most important one to me as a father of 4 and 7 grandkids. What are we leaving behind? Not just me. I mean, I only play a small role, we all do. But when I'm gone, when I'm dead and gone, did I leave my little community, my little place in history? Did I do my best to make it the best I could? As a youngster, I didn't, so now I'm, as a grown-up, mature man, now I'm trying to say, okay, we need to all chip in and do something to make the world a better place before it's too late, perhaps. I don't know. I don't want to sound too dramatic, but
no, I'm with you.
That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah. But when, I try to, not watch the news, focus on my gratitude, be out in nature, look at the trees, all that, the journaling, automatic writing. I get excited when I wake up in the morning. I can't wait for the day. And, helping these parents that I just was with an hour ago, and like that lights me up. And it's just keep doing that. And, I'm always about saying yes, always say yes. If it's not maybe it's a no, but just say yes anyway. Just go.
Actually, did you read the book, The Surrender Experiment?
Oh, I love The Surrender Experiment.
Well,
yes.
That's the whole thing. Say yes.
Yes.
I mean, all this guy wanted to do is go out into the Everglades and meditate with the attitude, I'm going to say yes to whatever shows up.
Yep.
And the guy becomes a billionaire,
I know. No, I love that book.
But now he's written these beautiful books, and he has a beautiful soul. So I love that attitude. Say yes to what shows up with discernment.
Yes. But, people make, I think just because I'm in the thick of being a mom and watching my girls, wanting the best for them and having them discover their passions and go down their road, not be the dictator, you need to do this and you need to do that. And, your dad was this, so you better do that. And it's kind of this like a moment in my life where you come to this place and I see these beautiful souls that are just ready to start their life. And, where are they going? Who are they going to, what? And it's like, we're in charge. It's like, I have something to do about that. Like I have this pull, like I need to be that person that I know one person makes the difference, but we all got to get on this train and not just, it's like what I don't see. It's like these people come out, these parents are like, oh, now it's college, it's just like, and then they're going to do this. And then it's this, and it's just that's not how I see it.
Right.
And so
because you're, I mean, but you're in the middle of this, you're in the thick of this. I love what you're doing, and it's got to be challenging, I would imagine, working with the parents, especially, right?
Right. Oh yeah. It's getting the parents on board, and I think they, it's like, I know when I hear these kids that finally, like, it's a lot of grandparents that have reached out to me that I'm helping their grandkids because they feel like their kids have failed as parents. So they're watching and they're like, oh, if I did wrong as a parent. Yeah. So now they're parenting the way I parented. So they want to fix it. So gosh, right now I have like 3 kids that are from the grandparents. And, it's a beautiful experience to help these kids, who haven't known anything, but they nothing.
I'll
So
tell
they
you
are
something
hungry. They're
along
like
those lines.
sponges.
Yeah, so along those lines, I had this nonprofit organization in Oakland, California, where we would provide financial grants to women below the poverty line while they were battling cancer. So
Right.
in Oakland, it's mostly African American. So most of my clients would come to us were African American and diagnosed with breast cancer, and they didn't have any money. So our foundation would give them financial grants while they went through treatment, because what happens is they lose their job because they're sick. Now their expenses gone up because they got to go to the doctor all the time, and there was no safety net. I mean, I can't imagine, you can't imagine what I saw. But what I saw a lot of was 50 to 60-year-old women with this diagnosis of breast cancer, living in poverty conditions, raising their grandchildren because their son or daughter is hooked on crack cocaine.
Right.
I saw that time after time
Mm.
after time. And talk about heartbreaking. Here's these poor women fighting for their life, going through horrendous treatment, raising their grandkids, and most of the time didn't have any emotional support whatsoever. And
Right.
and there was no financial, there was nothing. And so that really, I did that for 4 or 5 years. That changed me like to my core,
Hmm.
what I saw of the system. And then I
Right.
started doing it in Southern California, in Palm Springs area,
Oh,
mostly Mexican women with no insurance that came into this country to clean our hotel rooms, work on our golf courses, and work in our pick our vegetables in the field, where they're exposed to 159 known chemicals that cause breast cancer. They get it, and then the great state of California gives them 18 months of insurance coverage, only 18 months, just enough time for that guy to cut off 1 or 2 breasts, that guy to put a hole in their chest and fill it with poison every week, and that guy to burn them on this $1 million General Electric machine. And then say, okay, well, now we've deformed your body, we've ruined your immune system, but your insurance is over, so best of luck. And I would come into those situations,
wow.
and what I saw, I mean, I would go to their homes and we would meet in restaurants, and I didn't speak Spanish and they didn't speak English. So they have to bring in a translator. You normally a child, an 18-year-old child. Literally, I had a woman once in a Wendy's in Palm Desert, California, get so emotionally pull up her tube top in the middle of summer, where they just 2 fresh scars where they just removed both breasts. She was so emotionally distraught. And there's just so little support for these women, that it changed me forever. And that's why we're building this beautiful healing center in Medellin, Colombia, where hopefully, we can serve some of those women there, that they can come to a place, learn to detox their body, learn how it works, learn how the mind works, learn about meditation, learn about opening the heart, healing emotional wounds, rewiring neural pathways, getting rid of limiting beliefs, installing unlimiting beliefs, and creating a life of hopefully where they can learn to heal themselves. And if they're doing the Western medicine treatment, at least learn to strengthen their immune system to offset any damage that the treatment is doing. So
Right.
that's powerful.
Okay, so I need to understand, as we are winding down, I want to understand so when you learned from your teacher, at the end, it was service. And so now I'm looking at your life now, and I'm seeing after that, you were in your late 20s when you met him?
Yeah, so I was 24,
Okay.
1980, 24.
So, you go through, you get back with your wife, she passes away with breast cancer. You're inspired to help because you saw the pain she went through and what you went through and your family. And so now you're serving because you realize that's your purpose.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
where are you? And then, but you feel like you've made million, like you're abundant. And that's what people understand the energy.
yeah, it's because, listen, the mystery man taught me these principles, and I was programmed just like every other American that was born in the 50s. And I created a beautiful life of wealth and health and children. I had a $4 million house. I'm making millions of dollars. But that doesn't feed the soul, and that doesn't feed the heart. And then it was actually my second wife that passed away from the breast cancer.
Okay.
And we were together for 10 years. And for 9 of those, she's diagnosed at 29 and passed at 38.
Oh,
And
wow.
what I saw in those 9 years I mean, I've written a book about that. It chronicles the last 6 months of her life, which is just beyond very profound book of what really happens. And then I create this nonprofit foundation. because my heart had been broken, and now I have this big, broken, wide open heart. And what can I do to help?
Right.
Because after my second wife passed, I met another woman who was 38, had stage 4 breast cancer, a minority, not married, not good insurance. And a friend of mine asked me if I could help her. I took her to my wife's oncologist. He ordered some tests. I went with her. I noticed that she was treated differently than us, that people either talked down to her or over her head. And so then we get back to my late wife's oncologist, and he says, Amanda, the best protocol to extend your life are these 3 chemotherapies simultaneously. Unfortunately, your insurance will only pay for one, so that's all I can give you. I was flabbergasted. I never equate. This is where the injustice from Martin Luther King comes in my life. I said, man, here's my credit card. You give her whatever she needs. And that was the seed that later became the Love for Margot Foundation, where we started working with hundreds of women going through this. And that's where I saw all this injustice. And so as a result of this 4 or 5 years of doing this, and in most cases, the treatment doesn't work. They get sicker and sicker and then die. And so I was just throwing good money after bad, right? So after a lot of money, I said, okay, this is not sustainable financially. I'll be broke. 2, how can I help? Because this isn't working. So then I started buying them water purifiers, juicing machines, vegetables, teach them about their immune system. But now they think I'm their doctor, and really I'm a car salesman, right? So I'm going, wait. So now I'm building this place in Colombia. So we charge people with money to come to this transformational health retreat. And it's beautiful for anybody that anybody just wants to feel better. Anybody wants to learn more. Anybody that has any kind of issue, physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, you come there, you go through this detox physical, mental, emotional detox, you're going to heal. And it's the most beautiful place I've ever been in my whole life. But we also give scholarships to these women that come through us from the Love for Margot Foundation, or we'll give scholarships to these American veterans that have come back from Afghanistan and Iraq. 25 a day are committing suicide with PTSD. We bring them down there. We have sacred plant medicine ceremonies. We have other healing modalities down there that really help these kind of guys. So the vision is, I call it conscious capitalism. We have this beautiful retreat center that's fantastic for anybody. We charge people with money, and then we solicit donations, but we give one scholarship ourselves, one scholarship to every retreat that we do. We fly somebody down there, we give them the entire experience for free at no charge. And that's our little way of doing what we can to make the world a better place.
Oh, I love that. Gosh. I mean, all you are is like this man that's here to serve,
Well, I'm doing my best, I'm just doing my best, and it's not easy, but you work. I know you work hard on this show. I know you're pouring your heart and your soul into it, and you have great moments, but it's work too. So I really applaud what you're doing, and especially working with the kids, especially their parents. So we all do our little part.
Yes. Tell everybody where they can find you, your book.
Okay. So yeah, so great. So I have my personal website, and for your viewers or listeners, if they want to go there, I'd like to give them a gift. So if you go to Mike Murphy Unfiltered, MikeMurphyUnfiltered.com/gift, my team will send you something. So that's my personal website. The healing center that we're building in Medellin, Colombia is called Mountains of Hope. That's mountainsofhope.com. Our first retreat is September 30th. It's a 5-star resort. It's so many, we give IVs, coffee enemas, infrared saunas, so much education. It's 20 acres, 12 beds. It's one of the most beautiful. It's 7,000 feet in the Andes Mountains. It's called the City of Eternal Spring. Every day it's 60 to 80 degrees. And so anyways, and then our nonprofit foundation is Love for Margot, MARGOT.org. So that's me and my stuff.
Love that. So you, this new retreat thing. Oh my gosh, it sounds amazing.
That's beautiful. I'm so excited. I'm flying. My wife and I are flying back Saturday morning to Colombia. We just hired the hotel manager, and we're just putting in all the curriculum, and it's going to be super powerful.
Wow. That's on my list.
We'd love to see you there.
Anyway, thank you, Mike, for being here. I've loved it so much, and I've loved even the build up to this time. I enjoyed having you in my ear, reading your book, getting to know you more, and knowing that we have, I get excited to watch what you're going to be creating and in your life that you know, people always say like, we're never too old, too young, too anything. And I don't look at age. And when you say like, oh, I'm 10 years older than you, like, that's what I love about you. That doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. We're just, we're going to keep growing, and like it's a never ending. We're going to keep expanding and doing what our soul is here to do.
Yep. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Amen to that.
Thank
And with that, thank you.